Hey, everybody. Peace, peace, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown, albeit a smidge late, but we're Negroes. You know how we get down. It's like time is relative, as I remind folks from on occasion that time is a colonial construct. So anyway, it's the place where we set oppression ablaze. I'm so glad you guys made some time to join me here. I would like to take a moment to welcome back Will from vacation. Let me see some hands up in the air in the chat, some applause, some flame emojis, some heart emojis for brother Will and his ground return back to the program. Will had a well-deserved vacation, and we are very happy that Will decided to come. We're very glad they let Will back in the country. I want to ask Will about his return because we know they out here shaking down comrades and shit at fucking border checkpoints and whatnot. So anyway, but he's back. So that's great. So thank you so much to Will for his return. Appreciate you guys showing Will some love. We got a pretty decent show for y'all today. I am still phoneless. Nah. So as you can imagine, that makes, for me at least, putting together a show a little bit of a challenge, but I was able to soldier on and got a show. So I got some topics I want to get into for tonight, but I'm glad you guys are here. Thanks everybody that was checking us out on the Remix Morning Show, and thanks to everybody who has sent condolences and sympathies about the passing of my beloved Bagheera. Thank you, Sweary Fairy, for your very kind and thoughtful message, and for the folks in the Remix Morning Show chat this morning. Bagheera went on home to yonder on Saturday at the age of, we'll be precise here, even though I've been rounding it up to 16 and a half, but 16 years, 5 months, and almost 2 weeks of being 4 paws down on this planet. And Friday's show is going to be dedicated to Bagheera. If you've been watching Burn It Down with Kim Brown, I know we have a lot of day oneers here. You guys remember I did a show memorializing my dearest Breezy, who passed away in, when did Breezy die? 2021? That can't be right, but that sounds right though. And Bagheera's going to get the same treatment. So if you are a pet person, if you are a dog parent, come hang out with me as I share some really incredible stories of my pit bull. Y'all, Bagheera was a nut. Okay. Like, if Bagheera was a person, Bagheera would have been in jail numerous times for jumping on people. And not, when I say people, I mean other dogs. A very people friendly dog, but very dog aggressive dog. And she was crazy. So I have a lot of interesting, somewhat funny, somewhat shocking, I would say, stories to tell about Bagheera on Friday, where we'll do a proper tribute with hopefully some cool videos that I can find of this dog's very long life. And she meant a lot to me. This dog, she spent the first night with me in my place, and I've never been here without her until these past couple of days. And I have to say, it's a hard adjustment because I'm still kind of looking for her, like where her dog bed is. I'm looking over there, or I don't hear her, and I'm like, oh man, I left bags outside. I gotta go get her. Well, I'm half right. She is outside. She is outside. She is in the backyard. Her gravesite is adjacent to Breezy, so I'm very fortunate and blessed in that regard that my pups are still with me in a way. So in many ways, probably. So that'll be Friday. So come hang out with me as we celebrate the life of a Bagheera Brown. She was a mighty, mighty dog. Mighty dog. So anyway, gang, let me get into the program here. Thanks so much for being here. It's Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Try to do this every Tuesday and Friday, 7 p.m. in the Eastern time zone. And gang, here in Washington, D.C., Washington has been a buzz with so many different kinds of news stories. But let me focus here on the folks of the D.C. region, even more specifically, people that live and work inside of Washington, D.C. proper. Okay, you guys, D.C. is a very expensive city. This is a very expensive region. I was doing some research earlier for context. The average rental price for a one bedroom, not a studio, one bedroom apartment in New York City, the average rental price is, I believe, $4,000. The San Francisco Bay Area for a one bedroom apartment, average rental price $2,900. In Los Angeles, the average price to rent a one bedroom apartment $2,300. And DC falls right in there. The average, of course, average rental for a one bedroom will cost you about $2,200 inside of DC proper. That does not include that does not include eating, that does not include transportation, that does not include fun time, right? It's two stacks just to lay your head somewhere, okay? So keep that in mind. It's an expensive region to live in. And for people who work tipped jobs, such as servers, such as waitresses, such as garage and parking attendants, such as hair and nail techs, the people of Washington, D.C., and organizers representing service employees did a tremendous job of organizing the campaign to make the wages, the hourly wage for tipped workers, equal to that of everybody else who makes a minimum wage or hourly wage in Washington, D.C., which I think right now is about $17 and some change. That's the minimum wage in DC, $17 an hour. However, if you work a tip job, that number, that hourly wage can be significantly less. In 2018, voters in Washington passed a referendum or initiative rather called Ballot Initiative 82, which raised the hourly tipped wage of service workers, tipped workers in an incremental way that by 2027 it will equal that of the regular DC minimum wage. This was overwhelmingly supported by the voters and the residents of Washington, D.C. It was overwhelmingly opposed by the restaurant industry. The restaurant lobby guys, has a lot of pull in this town, okay? Because DC is such a big tourist town, restaurants are a big integral part of the economy, okay? So keep that in mind, all of which I just told you. So there's a couple things going on this week, or rather first week of May. Two big announcements came. It was announced that the NFL franchise, the Washington Commanders, are going to return back to DC at the old RFK Senior. Since we got multiple RFKs running around this motherfucker, RFK Senior, RFK Stadium, right? The infamous stadium where the Washington R words played for many decades, right? RFK Stadium is slated to be closed. RFK Stadium sits in Northeast DC, adjacent to the Anacostia River. It's in a black area, okay? So the multi-billion-dollar Washington Commanders announced that they want to leave Prince George's County, Maryland, where the stadium currently is, and move it back to DC at the expense of nearly $3 billion, of which, according to Mayor Muriel Bowser, according to her budget proposal for 2026, DC taxpayers would be required to foot about $1 billion of that cost. $1.1 billion, okay, coming out of the pockets of taxpayers, okay? Atrocious. Yes. So there's that. So the stadium announcement, here's the other announcement. Trump even got in on this shit. 2027, the NFL draft is going to be held in Washington on the National Mall. Why people give a fuck about the draft? I do not know. The shit looks like the goddamn slave auction. They be checking niggas' teeth and shit, making these young men run the 40 and G-strings and shit. I'm like, what in the hell kind of slavery? What is this shit? Anyway, apparently it's a big tourist draw for Green Bay this past year and Detroit before that. So big deal that the NFL and DC are blah, blah, back together like peas and carrots. So you heard a $1 billion subsidy for the multi-billion-dollar NFL franchise and its billion-dollar owners, its billionaire owners. And now more NFL money is going to be coming into Washington. So let me circle back to Initiative 82. because Muriel Bowser, Black Democrat, I believe now 3-term mayor of Washington, D.C., who capitulated in advance with the furor Trump to get rid of Black Lives Matter Plaza on 16th Street. I guess even before being asked. And meanwhile, is still going to Congress, hat in hand, begging for Congress not to trim $1 billion. This billion keeps popping up different places, not to trim $1 billion of DC's own money out of the budget that DC won't be able to use. It's a big fucking mess. I think I talked about this weeks ago, and this shit is still going on. Back to Initiative 82. Tipped workers are now fighting to make sure that they keep Initiative 82 on the books. Why? Muriel Bowser, our Black woman mayor, Democrat, that meant she was Democrat, Black woman Democrat mayor, not unlike Kamala, just different titles, has said that she wants to repeal Initiative 82. Basically, she wants to take money out of the pockets of some of DC's, I would say, most vulnerable workers, because tip workers rely on the generosity of their customers, right? They're only able to offset that low hourly wage if they are able to earn enough tips. There's many a variable that goes into whether you will get a good tip or not as a server or wait staff, as I'm sure some of our current and former servers and wait staff can assure you in the chat, right? It's too much to speculate. And people can't live that way in a city that is so expensive, so onerous to try to come up with $2,000 every month. And that's before you even pay for a single meal. Okay. So let me get you updated here. Let's go to the package. I got a couple packages for y'all. And let's start with what was the news on Tuesday, May 6th, on today, where members, I think, of Unite Here, the union that represents, or one of the unions that represents service workers. I'm not sure if SEIU was out there today at the Wilson Building, which is where the DC government conducts their business. I don't know what the fuck they be doing down there at the Wilson Building, but all right. So anyway, the unions had a rally. They went in to speak to DC council members. And to be clear here, Muriel Bowser, the DC mayor, cannot unilaterally rescind Initiative 82. That would be the job of the DC City Council, which, plot twist, everybody, they've done that already. Initiative 82 or something similar passed via referendum from the voters of DC in 2018. The DC City Council repealed it in 2022, and the voters said, oh yeah, fuck y'all. And they put it back on the ballot, and they got it passed again in 2022, and it's been on the books ever since. And now the mayor wants to eliminate it. Hurting who? Workers. Workers. Why? Because Democrats don't give a fuck about the working class, in spite of all their rhetoric and their prose about we stand with working class America. No, the fuck you don't. No, you don't. So anyway, let's take a look at the package. Will, let's roll that package.
The fight over DC's minimum wage for tipped workers is back in the spotlight. In less than 3 hours, workers are expected to rally outside the Wilson Building, protesting the mayor's plan to repeal Initiative 82. And that's where we find our Jacqueline Quinn this morning. She is live in Northwest. And Jacqueline, this is there is a 73% voter-approved wage law that's been at the center of this debate for years.
That's why the timing of this rally is intentional. It comes out right after the mayor released her 2026 economic agenda, essentially. And so workers are saying, well, they don't want to see these wages or these raises for their wages lost. They are pushing back on this. While restaurant operators, they say simply, this is something about staying afloat. This morning, workers are outraged.
It is a slap in the face to both voters and workers to suggest that she would cut these workers' wages in half, go back from where it is right now at $10 down to $5 an hour.
Saru Jayaraman, president of One Fair Wage, says business isn't suffering the way some claim.
Just 2 months ago, the U.S. Department of Labor reported that the DC restaurant industry hit the highest mark of employment since the pandemic, a 6-year high.
But the Restaurant Association Metropolitan Washington disagrees, saying more than 40% of DC's full-service restaurants may close in 2025, blaming rising costs, lower sales, and Initiative 82.
Since '96, working in bars on Capitol Hill, I have never had to cut a check to make up that difference.
Initiative 82 passed in 2022. It phases out the lower tipped minimum wage by 2027, raising wages every year. The next increase is July 1st to $12 an hour.
If we go to the next increase in July, I have to start letting people go. And I don't want to let people go.
Tony Tameldon operates the restaurant The Pug. He says he's already had to close one restaurant and he doesn't want to close another. Now, workers are also saying that this isn't just about wages. They're also talking about the RFK Stadium project. They say they want to see quality, that is, fair paying jobs come with that. Otherwise, they don't like this project at all. Again, this is going to start at 9 today, and we'll be here to bring you the very latest. For now, I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, 6:36 is the time right now. When the
There we
D.C.
go.
Council meets later today, the council members will vote on a bill to keep some council member meetings private.
That's good.
The temporary amendment took effect last month, and now members will vote on
I
whether
said
to
that's
make the
good,
change.
Will. Turn that shit off. Thank you. Thank you. So there you have the gist of it. So since I guess 2022, when the referendum was again put to voters for the second time, again, I can't stress that enough. And it was mentioned in the package. Let me underscore it. When this initiative, this ballot initiative 82 was put to DC voters for the second time, because the first time the DC City Council decided to say, fuck the will of the voters, we're going to repeal this shit. And they did that. And then the voters got it back on the ballot in 2022 and passed it overwhelmingly 73%. And actually, I found a package from 2022. And let me say this, and maybe I'm biased and I don't give a fuck about my bias, but my point is this. People in this region, maybe it's the proximity to the federal government, I'm not sure, but I feel as though people in this region do have an above average for Americans. So if I'm talking about above average knowledge of anything for Americans, you already know that the bar is in hell, right? So the bar is in hell. So when I'm not trying to pat DMVers on the back too much, because this is America, so the bar is in hell for the shit that people know and don't know, right? But people in this area they have a basic understanding of, let's say, economics, and they do have above average, I say, awareness of different issues and political issues, because again, this just how charged this area is in that. So I want you guys to hear some of the responses when they were interviewing voters on election day, when this ballot, the last time Initiative 82 was on the ballot in 2022. This is the response. The response is that people gave as to why they voted 73% in favor of this ballot initiative. I want you guys just to understand the depths in which the Democrats themselves are willing to kneecap their own constituents, to literally stab workers in the back, and then point to Trump as though he's the bad guy. And no, it's like, no, don't point at Trump like he's the fucking bad guy. Y'all all are the same niggas. Trump done laid off 40,000 local federal workers, taking a big shot at the professional middle class in Washington, D.C. And then here come Democrat Muriel Bowser wanting to erase the economic gains that tipped workers. We're not talking about people who are salaried with fucking benefits. We're talking about people who, if they don't work X amount of hours, they can't pay their bills, right? Or if they don't make X amount in tips because they had shitty customers, they can't pay their bills. So the people and the unions organized to make sure that there was, what do they call that? A social safety net. I know it's a very foreign concept in this country. What is a social safety net? What do you mean? The government reaches in and tries to help people, keep them out of poverty. What the fuck? That's socialism. That's what they do in fucking Estonia. I don't know. But anyway, let's go back to 2022. Let's peep this package. I was quite taken with the responses from voting Washingtonians about why they were in favor of making sure that their neighbors earned at minimum a living wage. Let's take a look.
And it's Initiative 82, which would raise the minimum wages of tipped workers.
Yeah, Eric Flack is live outside the Turkey Thicket Recreation Center in Northeast, which has seen a steady stream of voters all day long today. And Flack, I understand you finished talking to a lot of people about this tipped wage initiative, which may be a little bit of deja vu for a lot of DC voters. What are they telling you?
Right. You know, they're all very well informed about the impact of Initiative 82, or the expected impact, and not just on the tipped workers themselves, but also their customers. As candidates stumped outside the Turkey Thicket Recreation Center in Northeast late Tuesday, it was a question on the back of the ballot, Initiative 82, that was front and center when we asked which issues voters had the strongest feelings about.
It's really difficult to survive with tips only like that. So I think that initiative will help.
Maybe in the short term, you know, our waitresses and bartenders may be feeling the loss of those tips, but I think that, you know, getting a standard minimum wage is really just going to create a better incentive for everybody.
Right now, the minimum wage in D.C. for tipped workers is $5.35 an hour, with restaurants and bars already making up the difference if those workers don't end up taking home the standard $16.10 minimum hourly wage when you factor in the tips they get. If passed, Initiative 82 would gradually raise tipped workers' base pay, not including tips, until it is equal with the standard minimum wage by 2027. Opponents have painted doomsday scenarios of small independent restaurants being forced to close due to higher labor costs and potential lost income for tipped workers in the high-end establishments.
In terms of tipping, yes, that's true. Some people may make more, but it's a hit or miss. Whereas when you know your salary is going to be increased, it makes a big difference for your bottom line.
It's worth a shot. I mean, if it needs to be tweaked, later on down the road, if it's not perfect, as most programs and systems are, then, we revisit it and try to improve upon it.
If Initiative 82 passes, it's going to follow similar plans in about 7 states nationwide. Now, back in D.C. about 4 years ago, they actually passed an almost identical plan, but it was ultimately overturned by the D.C. Council. The D.C. Council has indicated it does not plan to overturn Initiative 82 if it passes this time. Reporting live in Northeast, Eric Flack, WUSA 9.
Yep. That is back from 2022. And, I'm just sitting here thinking of how willing Democrats at the local level and at the federal level are willing to undermine and usurp the will of DC voters. You heard the package. A similar, almost identical initiative passed in 2018. It was overturned by the DC Council. Voters put it back on the ballot. It passed. And now, 3 years later, DC Mayor, Democrat, Black woman, Muriel Bowser, wants to rescind this again, twice slapping the people in the face. So miss me about Trump dismantling democracy. Yeah, I saw the clip from Trump. Kirsten Welker, weak ass, asked him, don't, Mr. President, but don't you have to follow the Constitution? Trump said, I guess. Don't see what the lawyers say. I said, oh shit. But so there's that, right? But Muriel Bowser, same with Kamala Harris, same with Joe Biden, is a political insider. Muriel Bowser's been at this. She is a politician, a skilled and savvy one, even though I cannot stand her. But I will acknowledge someone who is good and terrible at their job, which Muriel Bowser is. But we cannot ever hold into any esteem any of these Black Democrats simply because they might say a crossword against Trump. Fuck Trump. Fuck these Black Democrats. These people are traitors to us. They are traitors. I'm talking to Black folks. I know we got other folks with us too, and that's cool. But Black people, go tell the others. Go tell your elders. Go tell your biggest Kamala cheerleader. Like, no, these people do not have our best interests at heart. They are never race first with us. They are absolutely not class first with us. Black Democrats will convince us that somehow we in our communities need more policing. Look at the Black Democrats that run major American cities. Look at the budgets of these cities. Look at New York. Look at Baltimore. Look at DC. Look at Bay Area. Look at Chi-Town. Where does the budgets go? Overwhelmingly to the cops, does not go to social services, does not go to education, does not go to parks and recs. It goes to the police. And it is overwhelmingly Black political leadership that is directing those dollars against us, not in support of us, right? So I understand we're in the time of Trump. Trump, shitty dude, okay? Make no mistake about it. But that does not make Black Democratic leadership somehow the victors. If Trump is the villain, Muriel Bowser is not the fucking hero. Neither is Hakeem Jeffries. Neither is any of these other fucking rando ass niggas. I don't even know who is in vocal opposition to Trump in Congress or whatever. I don't even care. I just want us to be clear and us to tell the others, okay? Like, overwhelmingly, what is done at the local level is going to screw you over more quickly than whatever Trump is doing at the national level. And that's not to say that you won't be screwed by Trump, or us collectively will not be, but it's going to be the likes of Muriel Bowser, the likes of Brandon Scott, the likes of Eric Adams that is going to do us dirtier quicker and probably with greater impact than whatever the fuck Trump is doing. Okay. And ultimately they are in lockstep. So hold on, let me circle back to this initiative 82, because again, the audacity for any person to suggest that they are going to take money out of the hands of working people so restaurateurs can remain profitable. Let me say this. I don't care what your business is. If your business model is predicated on poverty wages, if you can only be in business and make money if you are paying your workers jack shit, you shouldn't be in fucking business. Let me be very, very clear about that. Like, if that's your dream job, let's say to open a restaurant, you better be prepared and factor into your figures and your projections and shit. How can I pay my workers not only a living wage, but a thriving wage and remain profitable? And if you can't figure a way to do that, then I suggest you be selling fish plates from out your goddamn kitchen. Maybe a restaurant's not for you. Maybe a business is not for you. If you can only win or make money by depriving people of a thriving wage, then maybe entrepreneurship is not the way you should go. maybe you should be, what's the shit called? Sole proprietor. That is correct. You should be a sole proprietor. You should work for yourself. That's just one thought. But the other part of that is, it's so expensive to live here. It's so expensive specifically to live in DC proper. It's very expensive to live in Northern Virginia. If people are reduced to $5.35 an hour and hoping to make the rest up via tips, we're going to see more housing insecurity, more food insecurity. I can tell you that the area food banks have been reporting, honestly, for months, that their need is far exceeding and outpacing their inventory. They are seeing more folks show up to food pantries and food banks and the like. But on the converse side of that, because of the ICE raids, because of Trump's vicious deportation and anti-immigration policies, there's been declines in people's willingness to show up and accept some forms of help. I even saw a story today, just not to go too far on a tangent, but ICE is showing up to restaurants. ICE is showing up to construction sites, and scaring the absolute shit out of undocumented people. And I understand that. I even see it kind of reflected in my own neighborhood, y'all. There are lots of Spanish speakers where I live, and usually, like after school, 2-3 o'clock, you would hear a lot of children, expressing childhood joy, right? You know how kids do. The middle school to elementary school, them niggas scream and run everywhere, right? You see these kids running, hauling ass down the street with their backpacks and making noise. It's been mighty quiet on the block for many weeks. Especially now since it's turned warm, it's more pronounced. I'm like, oh, no, there's something something going on here. But anyway, what to do about these black traitorous Democrats? Well, we can't look to them for leadership. Okay. You can't look to them for much unless what you're looking to them is to pressure them, right? Is to like, and I'm very confident that the local orgs are going to be deep in Muriel Bowser's shit. Like, how dare you stand up here and wear a cape for the billionaire owner of the Washington Commanders, one of the most profitable NFL franchises in history, and with a straight face say that you're going to offer up $1.1 billion of district money to help the NFL, the NFL build yet another stadium. And let me say this also about the point that some of the folks are making in these packages about the coming stadium. You guys, and y'all know this. What did I call this shit in my head earlier? And it's probably some smarter person has probably coined a name for it, but the name I made up for it in my head earlier was gladiator capitalist economics, right? Where this notion that new stadium construction for professional sports franchises are somehow this injection of economic investment that is going to raise up this, otherwise underdeveloped or abandoned local, usually black community. And we're going to create jobs. Okay, construction jobs are going to be there probably 2 or 3 years. My guess is that most of the people who will work the stadium construction jobs probably won't live in the city. They probably will commute to the RFK Stadium site. So it's not directly benefiting Washingtonians. And in that section in Northeast, Kingman Park and over there in and around where RFK is, they have promised thousands of housing units with 30% of them guaranteed to be affordable housing. What qualifies as affordable housing if in 2025 the average cost for a 1-bedroom apartment in Washington, D.C. is $2,200? What do you think that's going to look like in 2030 when this stadium is expected to be completed, if it gets council approval, which it probably will? But I'm not excited about the new stadium because I'm like, the fuck? Because what does the stadiums do? Let's look around real quick and be brief. What has M&T Bank Stadium done? Where is that? That's not Pigtown. What side of town? Where's my mama? My mama knows. She's watching. I don't know if that qualifies as Pigtown. Well, what is that? That's not Pigtown where M&T Bank. I guess it's the stadiums area now. I don't know what to call it. But
it's close. It's not far. Like it's
weird.
Yeah,
it's like Pigtown, downtown.
Yeah, Pigtown is its own kind of thing, but it is kind of like it's maybe 5-10 minutes away from it.
I don't know where
that Russell Street
Street exit. Yes,
Russell
Street. I don't even know what would you call that part of town. I don't know what that is.
That's Southwest. That's just Southwest.
Okay, well, fuck it, Southwest. Baltimore, Southwest Baltimore. Okay, so Will's on the phone. What's up? Will would just say the construction of M&T Bank Stadium, has it offered any sort of specific economic elevation to the area?
Oh no, it's seasonal hiring. Niggas niggas that
parking.
What does
parking
it do?
attendant?
What they do? Parking. Yup, parking. More niggas at the casino because everybody go from the game to the casino, yeah. So they need a little extra people there. But they close Top Golf. They close they close stuff down. Don't get it twisted. They profess this economic stimulation, but it's not lasting. It's not real jobs, right? Afraid concessions, be that for a minute. And then as soon as the season's over, there's no programming, there's no other jobs, there's no, link program to whatever else. It's nothing. So
and that's Baltimore. Again, I'm kind of using proximate examples. Thank you, Will. That's Raven Stadium in Baltimore. And I don't have to look far. The arena formerly known as FedEx Field in Prince George's County, Maryland. Now that the Commanders have announced that they're leaving FedEx Field, even it's not FedEx Field any fucking more. I'm not going through all these goddamn sponsorship rename. It's FedEx Field until I say it ain't. So they leaving FedEx Field. and they're just leaving this kind of dilapidated stadium in the middle of Landover. It's like, what are niggas supposed to do with this? Now, I know Beyonce come through and perform at the FedEx Field, which she will do again this July. But guess what? Beyonce ain't out there every summer, every weekend. You understand? Like, so you have this giant crumbling stadium, and for what? Because we subsidize another billionaire to build a stadium that they have abandoned, and it's going to be an eyesore in the community, and it's probably going to have to be, well, I don't know, demolished. I'm not sure who's going to bear the demolishment expense. Actually, the team might actually pay for the demolition of the stadium, but regardless, something else is going to have to go there, right? That's going to have to take some sort of economic investment that chances are the NFL is not going to replace themselves. So fuck this shit. So if the brag by the mayor and Washington Commanders ownership is that, oh, it's bringing jobs, we can see very clear examples that these are not lasting jobs. This economic impact is not consistent. As Will said, it's seasonal. Oh, and that seasonal also depends on if the team is any fucking good, okay? Because I can assure you, before last season of the Washington Commanders, won't nobody going out to FedEx Field to watch the Commanders get their brains beat the fuck out. They used to let Commanders tickets go. I had friends that would go on StubHub. They pulling out 100 level seats for like $22. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't nobody checking for the fucking Commanders when they stunk, and now they're good, and now they get a new stadium at taxpayers' expense. Miss me with your Black Democratic leadership. Don't say Trump bad, we good. No, you're all bad. Y'all are just bad. Y'all, the Black Democrats, that is. Y'all are just bad in different ways compared to Trump. Trump, God damn it, he's a demon, but when he tells the truth, when he tells you exactly what he's going to do and he does it, it's like, okay, I hate what he's doing, but goddamn, I can at least respect that he told me he was going to do it. He didn't, well, he does fill you with a whole bunch of bullshit. Let me not give him too much credit, but not in the same sort of, we are the same folks kind of rhetoric and spiel and feeling that Black Democrats in particular try to convey. Oh, we're Black too. We understand. Oh, we come from the working class. Oh, we understand. Oh, we understand the scourge of police violence in the community. We understand, but we're going to send more police. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate that. Stop pissing on my back and tell me it's raining. That is what I cannot stand. So don't ever forget that the Black Democrats are traitors. They are not our allies. They are not our comrades. They are not on the same side as us. Let me take a teeny break. Somebody ran us some bucks, and I don't know who it was because my phone screen is still cracked to hell. And let me thank Infinite Content. Let me thank Patrick S. Thank you guys for running me some bucks. So my Siri still works, so Siri will read messages to me, but I cannot. My screen is illegible. Hold on. What are my recent notifications? Oh, it's telling me that my show is on live. That's nice. Oh, you're a liar. Do I have any unread Cash App notifications? I'm telling you, this fucking phone be lying. You know, that this is why I don't trust the tech. I don't trust it. It will never have my
I got one for you. Shout out to Sweary Fairy for 19 months of memberships.
Whoa. Thank you.
They said save this. They gave us a guidedog.org site. Check that out.
Oh, thank you. That's what you said. That's what the link. Okay, so I told you, Swear Fairy, my phone so it reads and stuff to me, and it said that you sent a link, but I'm like, I can't. My screen is obliterated, so I can't click on the link. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. We got anything else, Will?
Nope. We got 58 people in the chat. Shout out to the Fire fam. Everybody
now.
pulled up.
Thanks,
like
gang.
Latif, Afraid Not, Yipper, Holly Horn, James, Lady Alex, Lovely Lady 371.
Thank you, Lovely Lady. Thank you to
77, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Deirdre the Destroyer.
Hey, that's Nova
Twitch. Holly Horn, James, Wendy. Who else? Some of the new people. Shout out to y'all. Keep coming around.
Thank you.
Afraid Not, Don Hammond,
Dawn, my nephew.
Who else? Vesper X. Who else? Tyler, he popped in for a sec. PJ Fire, Rosalba.
Hey, Rosalba.
Who else we got? I'm trying to get everybody. Don't be mad, y'all. Coconut Queen.
You doing your best. Well, you're doing your best.
Yeah. We appreciate y'all. Sugar Shan, what's up?
Hey,
What up?
Sugar Shan, what's up?
The Hammond, the Jamon.
The Jamon. Come on here. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. You hear Kamal clowning the Fire Fam. He's like, that's the name. I'm like, nigga. It's the name. That's what the people voted on.
I don't care what he say. He hating. He just mad. He want to be Fire Fan. It's a light skin thing. I don't know. Say it, bro.
Hey, I'm not gonna do no whole lot. I'm just saying. Let me say this real quick, because some niggas have me cracking up this morning. I'm not gonna even say it, y'all, but I'm gonna say it, and y'all already gonna know, because we know some of the same folks, y'all and me. I'm not gonna read the correct answer, and neither is Will, but I already know y'all gonna get the correct answer. I want you to guess who called Kamal a metrosexual mulatto.
Yo.
And somebody else was called a metrosexual mulatto, but they shall remain nameless.
You know how era specific you metrosexual.
Now, who called Kamal a metrosexual mulatto? Right and wrong answers accepted. I will be reading none of them out loud.
Yes, right. He said, if the loafer fits.
If the oatmeal V-neck thermal fits, nigga, that's you.
The belly bowling shirt fits. You must.
Oh, that was good.
Please, give it to him. Give it to him. He hates him. Please do.
All right, hold on. Let me recompose myself, because I'm about to get mad here on my next joint. Anyway,
all right.
Thanks.
All right, y'all. Hit that like button. Share it with somebody. Share it with somebody you ain't seen in a while. Share it with them.
Absolutely.
Like, y'all, I'm just checking on you, man. That's it.
Will's coming back at the end of the show, because my palate cleanser, I need another DMVer to verify my assessment for my palate cleanser, but we're not cleansing palates yet. Thanks, guys, for being here. I'm gonna have to go back and read the chat, because I do want to read the answers, because I already know. I know what kind of time y'all fucking me on. Oh, y'all got jokes. I already know the jokey jokes, because y'all are hilarious. So anyway, hold on. Recompose and scene. Okay. Welcome, everybody. It's Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the place where we set oppression ablaze. Join us every Tuesday, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern, as we get into the things. So, what apparently is unavoidable on regular ass television, because that is what I have nowadays. The conclave, the meeting of all of the global Catholic cardinals, in order to select the next pontiff who shall lead the Catholic Church, right? And I have a certain respect for all religious folks. Oh, thank you so much, whoever sent us some Cash App. Thank you, guys. $BIDWKB, in case you're wondering. But I have reverence for religious folks, really, of all stripes, right? I'm not religious-y myself, but I had enough indoctrination, right? I did all the shit. But I had a number of friends who were Catholic growing up. And I went to their CCD classes with them. Ask me what CCD means. I do not know, but it's their confirmation classes before the young Catholics get confirmed to be Catholic. I don't know. I wasn't paying that close attention, I guess, in CCD classes. And there are a lot of Black Catholics actually in the DC area. So I feel like I've had a decent amount of exposure to Catholicism. So what I'm about to say is not a slander to the folks that follow and worship and believe. It is literally to the institution of the Catholic Church. You know, we respect to the God, the actual God, respect to the God, respect to the young God. You know, Jesus Christo. You know, Palestinian Jesus. We love to see it. But y'all, the global Catholic Church, as they are searching for a new pope in the wake of the passing of Pope Francis, I have been perturbed by all of this coverage, and I'm like, why am I so perturbed by this shit? Like they keep framing Pope Francis as this reformer pope, as you know, the first non-European pope in 1,000 years. Though I don't know that he ain't European. Just because the nigga was from Argentina, he could have been a cracker for all I know. But anyway, hold on. But that's not where I'm going. That's not where I'm going. I realized that I have seen a tremendous amount of sanitization. Let me say it right. Sanitizing of the Catholic Church as basically a global pedophile ring. Like I'm sitting here, I'm like, this is why all of this coverage with nary a mention of the fact that this institution headed up by men for hundreds of years, and only men, by the way, for hundreds of years, willingly allowed, participated, covered up for, and protected the predators who abused literally an incountable amount of children, right? In 2016, I believe it was, where are we at? This is 2025. Maybe this was 2019. Let me move that up a little bit. A grand jury in Pennsylvania was able to do a thorough investigation and release a report that found that over the course of 70 years, more than 1,000 children were abused by 300 priests in the state of Pennsylvania alone. Okay. So you multiply that out in America alone. Okay. We could be talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, low millions of kids that were R-worded and abused and harmed by members of the Catholic clergy. And while that's terrible within itself, it's the cover-up that ensued for, again, decades that is almost as bad as the actual crime of child sex abuse in itself. To cover up, to protect, to shuffle around, to allow those in higher positions who had knowledge of what was going on, who facilitated the moving around of pedo priests, to come to the Vatican and retire with no problems. Like, what the fuck? So I am perturbed why there's not much more emphasis on what the Catholic Church as an institution, again, this is not to slight the faithful, not to slight the believers, but there's no way that the Catholic institution, there's no way the conclave, there's no way all of this shit can operate business as fucking usual while the Catholic Church still hides and protects and withholds the names, living and dead, of priests, of clergy, of cardinals, of bishops who had accusations against them. And again, we're not talking about just US here. We're talking about everywhere, the world, you guys. The Catholic Church is a global pedophile ring. And this very casual, normalized coverage of the conclave. Oh, it's a big secret. I said, I bet the fuck it is. I bet it's a huge secret. I need someone to go in there and make sure there are no children present in this big secret gathering of the global pedophile ring. Is no one else concerned? I am very worried because I'm not even kidding here. Like, the way that we have memory hold, or rather the media, I sincerely doubt that many people who are familiar with this scandal, and at this point, how could you not be? This has been 20 years plus since the scandal bust wide open. But I just don't understand why it's being reported as such a normal thing. Like, we've got all these old men. We've got all these elderly cardinals. And that's the thing about Francis. So let me double back to Francis here. While there's so much talk, oh, he was a reformer and he kissed gay people. And I don't know what the fuck else they said Francis did, that they bending over backwards to basically canonize him within weeks of his passing. But Francis did not reform the church in the ways that he is being credited of reforming. In the wake of the child sex abuse scandal, after Francis assumed the position, after Francis assumed the position, after taking it over from Pope Benedict, and who would Benedict take over for? I don't fucking know. I don't remember. John Paul, it don't even fucking matter, because all of them niggas was terrible, every single last one of them. Pope Francis was old enough and had been in the church, in the leadership positions of the church, to probably have some inside knowledge about which bishops, cardinals, priests had shitball accusations against them. And it wasn't until he became Pope that he created these commissions. I'm going to create a commission of the child abuse. He did not provide names, locations of credibly accused clergy. He did not offer them up for criminal conviction. I think he had some sort of priest tribunal in which accused clergy would be confronted, but I'm not clear. And I don't think that all of these people who were so-called confronted, to the extent that this tribunal was effective at all, I'm guessing a lot of these guys did not get turned over for criminal prosecution. Oh, and also, while Pope Francis was the head of the Catholic Church, a number, at least in the U.S., and if you are joining us from overseas, chime in here if this happened in your country. Excuse me. But at least in the U.S., dozens of dioceses ended up filing for bankruptcy protections. Why? Because hundreds, if not hundreds of people per parish, let's say that, or per diocese, was coming forward with these civil lawsuits. Because in states, for example, like Maryland amended its laws so, and other states did this as well, so that if you were a childhood victim of sex abuse, in particular by clergy, your statute of limitations for you to bring civil claims, at least, were extended. So many of these dioceses begin to field and settle a lot of these civil lawsuits from survivors and sex abuse victims. In these chapters, these dioceses begin to file for bankruptcy so that new folks would not be able to collect if they were to come forward and sue. It put pressure on folks who had not disclosed and who had not made a claim to hurry up and come forward and make a claim. You better make a claim now, because the church has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, and there's not going to be anything to get. But when I look at all of this pomp and circumstance, even though Francis was a simple man, I look at all that shit in the Basilica and whatnot. I said, God damn, that's a lot of money. I said, that still looked like plenty money. That looked like plenty money. Catholic Church sitting on buku real estate, global real estate. Miss me with these local dioceses having to file for bankruptcy as though they are running out of money. And I understand that mass attendance plummeted after the child sex abuse scandal. Mass attendance also plummeted again during the pandemic. So sure, I'm sure the Catholic Church was not raking it in the way it used to, but nor should it, because it was exposed for being a global pedophile ring. And that's not hyperbole. That's not slanderous. I actually think it's quite accurate. And if, for example, the church were to try to sue me for calling them a global pedophile ring, there is buku reams of evidence that would support my claim of them being a global pedophile ring. So why is the fucking news reporting to me about the very secret interworkings of the global pedophile ring? Does this not strike you all as extremely creepy? Does this not remind you of yet another way that we are in the fucking dystopia? We are in the upside down. I get daily updates on the fucking conclave. Is it the white smoke? Is it the black smoke? I'm like, what is the smoke really? It's probably the bones of the children of which they have harmed and tragically unalived during the conclave. Can you imagine the type of fucking weird ass rituals that are going on? Like I've told you guys, if there is any organization, structure, group where it's only dudes, where it's only men, women and children are somewhere being harmed. Okay, I put $100 on that. Okay, let me make that a box. make that you give me 100 on. Yes, I will take that bet every time. Where it's only men making the rules, only men making the decisions, only men calling the shots. I promise you there are women and children being harmed. Don't believe me. I was looking up some old stories during Francis's tenure because I'm like, I was reminded. I'm like, nah, I'm being propagandized about how good this Pope was. This Pope oversaw his fair share of fuckery, but because he's little Jorge from Argentina, oh, he's such a nice guy. Anyway, this story, well, I'm pretty sure the date on this story might be 2016, 2017. Francis was installed 2013, 14, 12. Fuck, I don't remember. Doesn't matter. He was in charge when the story popped. Because shocker, you guys are not gonna believe this. It turns out that these pervy pedo priests, oh, well, all of them weren't pedophiles. Some of them were just sexual predators, willing to prey on grown people, more specifically grown women. Shocker, right? We thought they only like kids. No. It turns out that nuns were also being R-worded. Nuns were being R-worded by priests. Some nuns actually became pregnant and had to go get abortions, right? This story popped up. I was looking, I'm like, what fuckery happened under Francis? And this was one of them. And again, we don't hear about the nuns that were victimized. Maybe in some ways, but perhaps some of them were themselves trafficked, right? From parish to parish, to service the priests, the ones that weren't interested in children, who wanted to, they weren't interested in R-wording a child. They wanted to R-word an adult. It's the R-word part that is the active verb there. So anyway, check out the story. Will, this might be from CBS News. The news agency, I think, is going to identify itself at the end of the package. I just can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But we'll go ahead and run that first package, please.
Church leaders today called for a new culture of accountability. Pope Francis is hosting a landmark summit on clergy sex abuse. Much of the focus is on protecting minors. But Seth Doan at the Vatican reports tonight new protections could also help other victims, including nuns.
Place.
You don't like
it reminds me of my past.
Back when she was Sister Doris Wagner, raped by a priest in her convent.
If people knew, they wouldn't trust the church anymore. So I had to protect the church, and that's why I had to keep silent.
You didn't want to say a priest was abusing you because you didn't want to hurt the church?
Yeah.
The then 24-year-old nun from a poor German family felt silenced by the system.
This experience of being sexually abused does not fit in what they tell you the life of a nun should be like. And any sister who will come to the point to understand that she has a right to speak out about it will be blamed and shamed and silenced by her own superiors and fellow sisters.
That's the case in India, where since September, 5 nuns have rallied in support of their sister, who has claimed she was raped by her bishop 13 times. Indian law protects the identity of the victim, so the nuns' sisters have raised their voices.
At least the Pope should see our tears, and we cannot no words to say how much we are suffering.
The bishop, Franco Mulakal, denies the charges. The nuns sent letters to the Vatican's ambassador in India, but got no reply. Doris Wagner fears protecting nuns is a long way off, since bishops are only now discussing their accountability in protecting minors.
Shouldn't they be aware that they are accountable? Why do we need a summit for that?
Wagner left her order of nuns and says today the majestic St. Peter's Basilica is a symbol of power, the power to silence victims. Seth Doan, CBS News, Rome.
Even though that story is years old, it's still a very jarring story to hear. And even made even more jarring because I don't know if there's been any progress on the plight of nuns that have been R-worded by bishops, priests from the Catholic Church. And you don't hear about that perspective. And again, circling back to Francis here for a second, Pope Francis formed a accountability, blah, blah, blah. And you heard the former nun say, she said, why do they need to form a committee? Don't they know that they should be accountable? Yeah, yeah, they should. And Pope Francis, if he was about that action, he would have made it aware to all of us who the predator priests are and were, the ones living and the ones dead. Because there are so many people, when I think about the number of actual victims of child sex abuse only from the Catholic Church, because there are other denominations of Christians and other and Jews, by the way. I've read a terrible story many years ago. I'm not going to even go down that trail, but that was, I think, in an Orthodox sect in New York and Israel that was doing terrible things to children. But again, it's not limited, unfortunately, to one religion. Unfortunately, kids are on the menu for predators around the world. And that's a very sad and sobering statement, but it's an accurate statement. But anyway, as it pertains to Francis, I understand that one person cannot change the ethos of an entire institution. But again, don't talk to me about this man like he is St. Peter, okay, or he is some sort of singularly magnificent person that he was able to achieve all of these reforms. All he had to do was to expose who the predators and the pedophiles were. All he had to do was to go beyond, we're going to protect minors going forward. We're going to put in new protocols, which they did. I think they tried to anyway, but put in new protocols about reporting allegations and claims of abuse to not only church leadership, but to law enforcement, right? And we know law enforcement basically does fuck all sometimes with some of those accusations. But where is the accountability? What happened to a lot of those pedophile priests who didn't get charged criminally, who had numerous credible accusations, who are named in civil suits, but again, not criminally charged? What happened to them? Defrocked? Are their names protected? Some of them are, some of them aren't. One of the major figures in the wake of the Catholic Church child sex abuse scandal breaking was the former Archbishop of Boston. His name was Bernard Law. Cardinal Law. Cue up the package, Will, because again, while Pope Francis was not in power when a lot of this shit was going on. He wasn't Pope, meaning he wasn't the Pope, but he did take the reins after a lot of this shit had broken. And he had an opportunity, in my opinion, to make examples out of people, right? Like, I understand the ethos of Christianity is forgiveness, right? Jesus forgave everybody, forgave his enemies, forgave niggas that did him wrong, forgave his father for offering him up on the cross. But you know, we are human. Jesus was divine, right? And I'm sorry, accountability and exposure is what these people, these predators deserved. And Francis was complicit into protecting some of them. And here is the ways in which Cardinal Bernard Law was protected in spite of what he knew, in spite of when he knew it. He was not made an example of. And I just roll the package. We just look back several years in time. Will, does it say where this what year this was? I'm going to speculate, maybe 2017, but I may have that.
1 second. Let me look.
Thank you, good brother. Thank you, good brother. And to be clear here, Catholics, I'm not bombing on Catholics. Most Catholics I know are really nice people. They are. Y'all church is 45 minutes long. That's awesome. You understand? So there's good things working for the Catholics at the same time. The global pedophile ring is a bridge too far. What would you say, good brother?
Sorry. Yeah, I was saying post date was 2017, December 19, 2017.
Okay, so
the footage look old though. So
well,
but we got it. We got it. We're queued up for you when you're ready.
Thank you, sir. Well, let's go ahead and roll it. So this is from about 8 years ago, gang. And Francis was on the throne, as it were. Let's take a listen.
To all those who have suffered from my shortcomings and from my mistakes, I once again apologize.
That's how the Boston years of Cardinal Law ended, in disgrace.
It is my hope and it's my prayer that my resignation as Archbishop might help the Archdiocese of Boston to experience healing, to experience reconciliation, and to experience unity.
But it started 18 years earlier, March 1984, when 52-year-old Bernard Law arrived from Missouri and became Archbishop of Boston. A little more than a year later, it was Cardinal Law, one of the youngest Americans to become a prince of the Catholic Church. His soft-spoken leadership style won over Boston Catholics, and he took a firm stance on church teachings.
Nowhere is the shroud of darkness heavier in the contemporary world than in the sin of abortion.
But he also became a voice against injustice. Law was a Vatican favorite, traveling to Cuba several times on behalf of the Pope. He brought pilgrims to the Auschwitz concentration camp and visited people devastated by the Mexico City earthquake. But it was the horrific sexual abuse scandal here at home that destroyed him, creating a profound anger toward the cardinal and toward the church. Hundreds came forward saying they were abused by priests that in some cases were moved from parish to parish, allowing them to repeat the violations that had come before.
I did assign priests who had committed sexual abuse.
The church paid millions to settle abuse claims, but Law hung on.
I do not intend to resign as your Archbishop.
Law must go! Still, the pressure mounted, legally and from the parishes.
We need new leadership in the Archdiocese.
In December 2002, the headlines blared the news.
The most effective way that I might serve the church at this moment is to resign.
Law spent the rest of his life primarily in Rome as head of the Basilica of St. Mary Major until 2011, when some say he was forced to retire, forever the face of a scandal that damaged lives, the church, and inflicted wounds that still have not healed.
I acknowledge my own responsibility for decisions which led to intense suffering. I would also ask forgiveness.
Yes, you did hear that man say that there is, I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember what he said verbatim, but there is no darker shroud of sin than that of the sin of abortion. This coming from a man who had awareness that his priests were R wording children and then had the audacity to finger wag women in particular about abortion. Abortion is the worst sin. What do you call the sin of covering up for pedophiles? To me, covering up for someone that would harm a child is almost it fuck that it is as bad as harming the child itself. It is as bad as the act of harming the child itself to cover up for the person who would do such a heinous thing, because they're both heinous acts to do and to cover. Cardinal Bernard Law, after resigning or leaving the Boston Archdiocese in disgrace, got him a job at the Vatican. They gave this nigga a promotion. They said, Bernard, listen. We know you done shuffled around 50, 60, 70 pedo priests. Listen. They're gonna them Bostonians is about to fuck you up out there, sir. Come on, let's bring you over here to Rome where you'll be nice and safe. You'll be nice and safe. And in fact, I think Cardinal Law's funeral, I'm not 100% positive it was at St. Peter's Basilica, but they absolutely held a fucking funeral for that nigga at the Vatican, in Vatican City somewhere. I don't goddamn know. And Pope Francis, I don't think he presided over the funeral per se, but he did participate in some of the funeral rituals, as is tradition when a cardinal passes in the Catholic Church, because God forbid they deviate from tradition in order to show at least an acknowledgement of contempt, even. I guess I don't fucking know, but acknowledgement that no, we're not going to do all the traditional rites of funerals for this person. Even though Law himself was not accused, I don't think, directly of child abuse or molestation, but he absolutely had knowledge of many priests who were doing such things, and he didn't say shit, didn't report shit, didn't do shit, but make sure that the institution of the church and its reputation and its power and influence and its revenue from its parishioners remained intact. Let me recommend this, and I know I've said this before, but it's a brutal watch, but it is a very enlightening watch. Netflix series called The Keepers. It's the kind of thing, it's almost like, not really, but for me, Lee Daniels' movie Precious. I saw Precious once. I had no desire to ever see Precious a second time. Okay. This series, however, The Keepers on Netflix, it's, multi-part, six episodes or whatever. It is about the Baltimore Archdiocese and the levels of child abuse that they were doing to, in particular, teenage girls. These priests were abusing these girls, but a nun, one of the sisters, became made aware of the sex abuse committed by these priests, and the nun turned up dead. Wow. It's a hell of a watch. And you'll probably will not watch it twice. But I can't over recommend, but let me give content and trigger warnings. This one white lady described her abuse. I'm like, this lady is strong as hell, because the shit that she described in very graphic form, she was graphic, she was unflinching, and that's what made me believe 100% of what she was saying. I'm like, this lady is not lying about this. She is not making this up. She is describing this too well, right? Like too clearly. That did not come from someone's imagination. So it's on Netflix. It's called The Keepers. Have your barf bag handy, because it's fucking terrible, but it's informative and enlightening. I don't think we should be normalizing the inner workings. We should not be romanticizing. We should not be endlessly and breathlessly speculating about the secret ritualistic activities of an institution that is credibly known to not only have abused on the low end hundreds of thousands of children globally, but who have not, in my opinion, properly atoned for it. I'm sorry. You can't diddle children for hundreds of years and think that, oh, but that was 10 years ago. Like, that's how I feel like the news is covering this shit. Like, oh, but that was 20 years ago. That's old shit. No, the fuck it isn't. Definitely not for the survivors. Definitely not for the people that are still living with these scars. And on top of that, like when I was going back and looking at some old packages of these dioceses filing for bankruptcy in Oakland, California, in Baltimore, in New York, in Santa Rosa, in San Diego, like these different archdioceses filing for bankruptcy after bankruptcy after bankruptcy. And the way that the reporters are covering the stories, these are based off the bankruptcies as a result of hundreds of civil suits being brought against the archdiocese for allegations of child sex abuse starting from 1940s to 1990s, right? And I'm thinking about, these are the people, the survivors. These are the survivors that are coming forward on the record now who are still alive. Think about all the ones that unalive themselves. Think about all the ones that went down a destructive and irreparable hole of substance abuse, alcoholism, drug abuse, right? Like, think about the people that are not here to tell their stories because they were so destroyed by the violation of trust on multiple levels by the Catholic Church, right? Like, so we can't even, like, you literally cannot count the victims of this global pedophile ring institution masquerading as a holy place. And I will not, is it black smoke or is it white smoke? I don't give a fuck what the pedophiles come up with, okay, about who will be their next leader. I do give a fuck about how we remember these atrocities, how we talk about these atrocities in modern day, even though they're not being mentioned in the legacy mainstream media reporting, as it pertains to what's next for the Catholic Church. We can never forget, okay? Never forget. Child abuse, but especially child sex abuse, destroys people's lives, okay? 100% destroys their lives. And I just am so, on one hand, I'm grateful to be alive during a period in which such deeply held secrets were finally exposed and brought out into the light, right? So much fucking evil absolutely dies in the dark, but this did not die in the dark, and we shouldn't let it die in the dark, despite the platitudes and lovely things being said about Pope Francis. Pope Francis was there, okay? Wasn't he the fucking, what was he? He was the HCIC of Buenos Aires. He had a title. You know what I mean? I'm curious. Shame on me for not doing my Googles. What the fuck? Any allegations coming out of that Buenos Aires archdiocese? While Frankie was on the scene? Shame on me for not looking that up before I did the story. But anyway, so don't be like, oh my God. And yeah, anyway, I'm done. Before we head off, I just want to thank everybody for coming through. Thank you so much to our fantastic mods. Thank you so much to our fantastic Fire Fam members. Thank you so much to all the people. Shout out to y'all who also are dedicated Black Liberation Media viewers. We appreciate it. Thank y'all who be on my side in the chat during the Remake Morning Show. More of that. Yes. Stay on my side in the chat, y'all. I appreciate it. Because I'm not reading the chat, but Kamau and Ear Doctor are. So you let them niggas know. you let them niggas know. I ain't got to see it. Y'all make sure they see it. You understand? So anyway, appreciate it. I appreciate it. And here's the thing. I be getting vibrations through the screen. I know when there's fuckery afoot, and I know when there's good shit afoot in the chat over at the Remix Morning Show. So keep all the good shit coming, especially when y'all say good shit about me and bad shit about them. But I'm kidding. But I'm not. But I am kidding though. But I'm not. But anyway, let me get y'all out of here for my palate cleanser. I almost did not make a palate cleanser tonight. And I'd like to thank Brother Will again for being quick with his fingers to pull the video up. So you guys know, I guess y'all know. I don't know what the fuck y'all know. But anyway, my name is Kim. I'm from Maryland. I was born and raised in Maryland, okay? I have been plucking crabs. What do I mean by plucking crabs? I have been eating steamed blue crabs, I guess my whole life. Like, I can't really think of a time when I did not eat crabs, okay? And here in Maryland, Virginia, we'll throw DC in there, even though DC doesn't touch the bay, it touches the Potomac River. But Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, they call it the Delmarva area that sits on the Chesapeake Bay or adjacent to the Chesapeake Bay. Chesapeake Bay has the most delicious crabs. They are called Maryland blue crabs. You know, respect to Louisiana and Texas, but y'all not fucking with this Chesapeake Bay shit, okay? And a dish that appears in the seafood section on many a restaurant, let's say nationwide. I don't know what the fuck they serve in restaurants around the world, but in America, if you go to a restaurant, it won't be so unusual for you to see a Maryland crab cake as an offering. Let me tell you guys this. As somebody who, again, born and raised in Maryland, been eating crabs my whole goddamn life, been eating crab cakes my whole life. All Maryland crab cakes are not created equal. All crab cakes, even within the Delmarva or the DMV area, also not created equal. Not everybody has good quality crab cakes. I can tell y'all some good ones. I think it's called, is it G&B's? Will, you ever been to G&B's? Wait, hold that answer when I come back. Mama knows where it is. It's out there near the BWI airport. They serve delicious crab cakes. One of my favorite places to eat a crab bomb, not necessarily crab cake, but they have good crab cakes too, is Jerry's Seafood out in Bowie. So there are places that are better than others to get a Maryland crab cake. All crab cakes are not created equal, especially if you're eating one from outside the region. I have eaten seafood. No. Sorry, y'all. If you're in the Midwest, if even you're down south, especially if you're out west, y'all are not getting real crab cakes. So don't even bother. You know what I'm saying? Eat the shit that's good in the region that you are. You understand? If you in the Delta, eat that catfish, eat that crawfish, eat that gumbo. You know what I'm saying? Don't order the Maryland crab cake because it ain't going to be the same. You feel me? So anyway, so imagine my surprise or lack of surprise when I'm watching the local news, as I'm prone to do, because I'm a middle-aged fucking woman out here. I'm watching the local NBC affiliate, and they have Chef Wolfgang Puck on. Surely, you astute people have heard of Wolfgang Puck. He is an international renowned chef. He is restaurants all over the globe. I don't even know where Wolfgang Puck is from. I think he's from Switzerland. I don't know where the fuck he's from. He doesn't strike me as Italian. And that is going to factor into what you're about to see here, because there's only 3 kinds of whites that can really cook. Italians, the fucking Cajun Creole of Louisiana, and who is the other brand of whites? Let's stick with those 2, because maybe 3 is stretching it. But the Italians can cook, and the motherfucking white Creole Cajuns cook their goddamn ass off, okay? Wolfgang Puck is neither of those whites. And when Wolfgang Puck got on Channel 4 to reveal his crab cake recipe, I said, I think, and this is an exact quote from me, get this nigga out of here immediately. So, Will, put me in the little corner, put Wolfgang Puck and the Channel 4 crew in on the big screen. Or you know what? You might could have my vote. Hold on. You might could take me off all the way because I don't want to fuck up the picture. But I'll be able to talk, and I'm gonna ask you to pause. So yeah, take me off all the way, and we'll play the video onto itself, and you'll just hear my commentary. Gang, there's gonna be a lot of faux pas. There's gonna be a lot of disinformation. There's gonna be a lot of It's gonna be a lot of shit you need to disregard in this upcoming segment because Wolfgang Puck don't know what the fuck he's talking about. And let me preface this for you. This is Channel 4, the NBC affiliate here. You got Michelin-rated chef Wolfgang Puck about to do ungodly things to a goddamn crab cake. You've got two Channel 4 reporters / anchors, one being Tommy, who I don't think is from the area, but Yang is from this area, okay? Yang is from Maryland. And you are going to hear Yang in the nicest, most professional way possible be deeply confused by what Wolfgang Puck is doing to this fucking crab cake. And I want to shout out to Yang because I said Yang as a Marylander is in confusion about what the fuck is going on here. So Will, I want y'all pay attention because just because some shit is fancy and is Michelin rated and this nigga got restaurants all over the world and his name ring out does not mean that they know what they doing on the goddamn grill. So we'll go ahead and run that. And I'm going to let you know when to pause it.
A crab cake is a traditional dish of this region here. Chesapeake Bay has the best blue crab.
Anna and I have been talking a lot of smack.
Yeah.
As to who can make the better crab cake. I'm not gonna say the odds were stacked against me.
It better be me.
Well,
Tommy doesn't even cook.
You have my vote. I'm not gonna tell him. Okay. The first thing is really to get really good lump crab meat, so you can see it here. So that's the most important part. Then the second part is this seasoning. Cooking and eating is a matter of taste. You know, some like it spicy, some like it not so spicy. A little surprise.
Ooh,
some
what is that?
apple.
Apple?
A little more sweetness to it.
Apple. Now, I've never seen apple in a crab cake.
Well, you have never have seen me. That's
Exactly.
right.
Did you see that Wolfgang was helping me a lot?
Pause
I like
it
a
real
little
quick, Will.
spicy.
Jalapeno.
Okay, just
wait. Wait a second.
Ain't no way they just said apple. There's no way.
Will. That's
first-
apple, my nigga. Will, applesauce, nigga. They put applesauce in the crab cake, nigga. Wait a minute. Hold on. Will.
That's the first thing that came off this motherfucker's lips is motherfucking applesauce, yo. He's like, yeah, get the applesauce. He said it with a straight face. He was serious.
The straightest of faces. Will, the straightest of faces. And hold on. Wait, back it up like 2 seconds. Because did you hear what was said as you hit pause? After Yang, I told y'all Yang is in confusion. She said, I've never seen applesauce. I said Yang from Maryland. And she is like, what the fuck is this? This nigga put a jalapeno in the motherfucking crab cake, Will. A jalapeno. Okay, I'm a hush. Go ahead, hit play. You ran it back a couple seconds. Okay, just run it.
So now we have to bind it together.
yes. The binding is tricky to me.
The cheap places use mashed potatoes.
Is that right?
And mayonnaise.
Mayo.
Let me take
Give
a
it to
bigger
me.
spoon. And to form it, again, we
that's
need
the question.
breadcrumbs.
You do.
So we
Is it a meatball situation or a
Yeah.
patty situation?
a meatball, and then we put the ball here and we flatten it out.
Okay.
You know what? I think because I cook a lot, I use utensils. That's why I'm not smushing it down too much.
Yeah. So you
I went full snowball on mine, so.
Okay, all right. Okay, go in the kitchen and wash your hands.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to be fast. I'm going to be fast.
In the back
We'll be
there.
back.
Well, I thought they are leaving the building. They got nervous.
Okay.
Where did,
All you.
did you see the new chef somewhere? Hello?
This looks fairly.
Oh, they're taking a shower. You don't have to take a shower. I need a drink, I think, cooking with them. It's nice and hot.
Sir, I
So
need a
now-
drink.
When you were gone, you didn't fix our crab cake, did you?
I added a little extra salt.
Good luck, little crab cake.
So,
Nice.
Will, you can turn
Oh,
it
you
off.
have a monster crab
So
cake.
basically, they had a crab cake competition, cooking competition. Wolfgang Puck oversaw Yang and Tommy McFly. But I wanted to show y'all the preparation of that crab cake because I don't know what Wolfgang Puck is charging for that crab cake. whatever the amount is, it's too much. Okay. You should never. And let me repeat, let me underscore, let me underline. Let me tell you something. If anybody ever tells you they're putting applesauce, jalapeno pepper, mashed potatoes in the fucking crab cake, the answer is no. It's a no. It's going to be a no. And also, I also tell you guys, sometimes we learn a lot by what is omitted and not said. The fact that this man, this world-renowned chef, has the audacity to fix a Maryland crab cake without a speck of Old Bay seasoning. Get him the fuck out of here, okay? Like, Wolfgang Puck should be legally precluded from selling something called a Maryland crab cake on his menu, because in the history of never, ever, in the history of fucking ever, have I ever heard applesauce, jalapenos, and mashed potatoes going into a crab cake and no Old Bay. Go arrest that man, please. Send the police. Police! Go send the cops. Where is ICE looking for fucking Wolfgang Puck? Deport that nigga based off this shit alone. And don't believe me, the Marylander. I'd like to bring in Will, the Virginian, if I could. Because Will, hey, maybe they do it different in Virginia. Maybe y'all slap applesauce and mashed potatoes and jalapenos all in your crab cakes, and I just don't know shit about it. What
This
say
is
you?
journalism, people. They don't do that. This is real journalism. We don't. It's not that. Never. Go. Run.
Will.
If you ever anywhere you not getting the crack, no. Go to Moe's. Go to like you said, G&B. Go to Coco's. Go those. What is it? Soul Cuisine. Like there's a bunch of in go to the city in Baltimore. Some of the best you ever had in your life. Now I'm a crab snob now. One of those, I'm telling you, one turn you into that. Be like, nah, I don't even want that. That was disrespectful what you just did to the crab cake.
Will, Wolfgang Puck is charging people money for that. like he expects payment for that crab cake. Isn't that wild?
He put that with a what is it? Spicy aioli and some basil. He put that. He's like $35. And the size is separate. That's not with no size. That's just the crab. That's just the crab cake.
Will, where? Anyway, I don't know. Chat, Google real quick. Where the fuck is Wolfgang Puck from? I'm about to call the ICE hotline on that nigga immediately. Okay, like he's got to leave.
They not doing. That's the problem, right? They trying to get the wrong motherfuckers. Get him the fuck. Elon him. Get them. Go back.
He is abusing Maryland crab. That good lump backfin Maryland crab meat. He is abusing it. Call the police. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. So anyway, gang, all Maryland crab cakes not created the same. Just because somebody has a big name and is a well-renowned chef does not mean that they know what the fuck they're doing with certain regional foods. And let Wolfgang Puck absolutely tampering with, to quote the ear doctor, he totally tampered with that crab cake. In my opinion, a crime. That is a criminal act. I hope Trump sees this and they do something about Wolfgang Puck, because he's out here being a menace to good quality crab meat. So that is tonight's palate cleanser. Gang, thanks all for being here. Again, I'm telling y'all right now, ain't gonna be nan news on Friday. I don't give a fuck what's going on in the world on Friday. Friday, we are doing it for big bags. Okay, we're doing it for Bagheera. My baby girl, gone on up to yonder, but a legend, a DMV icon, dare I say. I mean, she everywhere. She stalked everywhere. DC, Maryland, and Virginia. We got stories. We got thugged out. She was thugged out orthopedic out here, okay? Like, bags kept at 1,000. So come celebrate my baby girl making her transition this Friday. No news at all. We doing it for big bags. Okie dokie, gang. I love y'all to pieces. Thank you all so much. Please don't forget to tune into the Remix Morning Show on Black Liberation Media starting 8 a.m. tomorrow, Women's Wednesdays. Lay's going to hold it down, probably plus Kamal. I will be back on Thursday, and the Ear Doctor and I are coming back for Classical Breakdown, doing the year 1995. I think that's the year Will was born. But 95, great year for music, Black music, and we're going to have a good time. So please come out and hang with the Ear Doctor and myself Thursday, 11 a.m. on Black Liberation Media. Thank you so much to Will and Molly. Welcome back, Will, from vacation, and we will see y'all back here on Friday. Love you guys to pieces. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Deuces, y'all. Thanks again.